What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a very special commentary video that I am making today. So for those of you who saw my last update video, you know about the schedule of videos that I plan to make. So this is actually going to be my last commentary video for a while, but I wanted to make this one because I thought that the subject matter was important. I've mentioned it several times before in some other videos and live streams I've done. But it's something I really wanted to address today. Now, there's this video that another YouTuber has made, and I've seen it before, and I wanted to make a video on it, but up until now, I never really had the chance. I always had something else to work on, and now I'm taking some time to go ahead and respond to it. So there's a YouTuber by the name of BigBTheFluffyRedneck. Now, he's been around for a year or two. He uploads maybe, once every month, couple of weeks or so. He's got like 100-something subscribers now, so he's doing okay for himself. And a video on his channel that got pretty decent amount of views, it got like a little over 1,000 views, is a video called "A Response to AcetheOcarinaMaker, Apparent Lawmaker of Team Fortress 2." Now, when you read that title, the first thing you think is, okay, he's taking beef with something AcetheOcarinaMaker said, right? Because he's another TF2 YouTuber, or he was a TF2 YouTuber at one point. And apparently he didn't like something he said. So on the surface, that seems to be all it is. But when you actually dive into this video, you see that it's about a lot bigger a topic. It's about the topic of capping on Hightower. Now, I've mentioned this several times before, and many of you know what my position of capping on Hightower is. I think capping on Hightower should be treated the exact same as on every other map. There should be no exception to Hightower that gives us the special no capping status. So yeah, that's why I am responding to some of the points that Mr. Fluffy, we'll call him Mr. Fluffy. So Mr. Fluffy here, he makes a lot of points in his video about why you shouldn't cap on Hightower that I think are ridiculous. I think they're absolutely ridiculous points. So I'm going to respond to them today, and we'll see if we can use some logic to clear up some of these misconstruing somethings. So yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing today, guys. So let's get into his video, see what he has to say, and respond in kind. So yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Hello everybody, and welcome to a rather interesting video. To talk about a YouTuber and their videos is kind of like a double-edged sword. You can attack someone, sure, however that attack could horribly backfire. Personally, what I'm doing in this video is pointing out Ace and his many flaws and rather irrational outbursts and enragement towards a specific problem. That being capping on Hightower. Yes, Ace has made an entire video about a minor pet peeve in Team Fortress 2. However, he's blown it out of proportion, and even worse, he became rash and harsh with his opinions. Personally, I myself don't give a rat's ass over his anger. However, later on in the video, I will explain why I'm pointing this out and how dangerous this can be.
Now, Mr. Fluffy, at the beginning of this video, you allege that AcetheOcarinaMaker is making a big issue out of a relatively small problem. Now, I will not say that capping on Hightower is the biggest problem in the game. There's a lot more issues with the game that are a lot more important, and there's especially more that have come up since this video was made. However, capping on Hightower and the whole no cap versus cap thing is not a minor issue because it affects everybody in the community. Just about everybody has played on Hightower at one point or another. Hightower is one of those places that harbors very toxic players who think that if you don't play the way they want to, then they should abuse the vote kicking system to try and force you out of the lobby. Okay, that might not seem like such a big issue right up front, but you have to consider the repercussions of that. What if this spreads to other maps? What if players decide they're going to go to other maps and do the same thing? They might decide they want to bring it to 2-4, or Banana Bay, or maybe even Dust Bowl, the map you're playing on in this video. And this isn't just necessarily a what if either. I've seen this myself. Granted, it's been an isolated incident, but it has happened. Consider also what this will do to new players to the game. People who come in and don't know the Hightower rules, so to speak. They're playing the game, they're trying to complete the objective, just like they do on all the other maps, right? And then people tell them not to cap. And they do because they're playing the game. Maybe they're paying attention to chat, maybe they're not. And then they kick them out. All this toxicity they're getting for just playing the game. Do you think that's going to have a really good impression on new players to the game? Because I really don't think so. Also, I really don't believe that you don't care about AcetheOcarinaMaker's attitude. Because one, you're making a video about this whole subject. And 2, if you didn't really care, why would you have brought it up in the first place?
Now, the first minute of his video is him just playing Hightower. Nothing special except for one thing. He's playing the objective. And every time he's playing, he gets kicked. Why do I question this, you may ask? My biggest question is, why did he get vote kicked? No, you might believe what he said. He got kicked for playing the objective. However, we can't prove that is the reason why he got kicked. We don't see the chat of Team Fortress 2 or the voting process or the voting menu. What if he was being really annoying with his microphone? Well, why would he do this, you might ask? I'll explain my reasoning and hypothesis later in the video when he sort of gets ballsy and angry.
No, I really think you should take the time to explain it now. See, I see what you're doing here at the beginning of your video, and it's a very clever little tactic. You're insinuating we have a reason to doubt AcetheOcarinaMaker's word, even though we have, in fact, no such reason. You're trying to make it doubtful that this is the reason he's being kicked. Okay? You have no reason to think otherwise. As far as we know, you haven't given us a reason for why we should doubt what he says. Anybody who's played Hightower for really any decent amount of time knows that kicking people out for capping the objective is a common issue. Why should we think that, oh, well, maybe he's not being kicked for, capping, maybe he's just being kicked for being annoying? We don't have any more evidence of that than we have evidence of the chat saying, oh, kick him in his video. In fact, we have less because we already know that being kicked in Hightower is a common issue. We don't have any evidence that would suggest that Ace regularly goes to Hightower servers or TF2 servers in general and annoys people with his microphone, blaring music, making garbage noises, making ASMR noises with his mouth. Unless you know something about Ace that I don't, and you can pull up some videos that show he regularly does this, I'm more inclined to believe that he's suffering from a common issue, like being kicked for capping in Hightower.
Now, to the new players of the game, you might be wondering, well, what's so bad about that? Capping the objective. There's nothing wrong with capping, game punishing wise at least. However, there is always going to be backlash on Hightower, because Hightower, for whatever reason, has become a haven of harboring the sillier and enjoyable players of Team Fortress 2. Players who like to be friendly, like Hoovies, Spy Crabs, players dancing and getting along with their own teammates, and even other enemies. Why the map developed a haven for this, I do not know. However, it's accomplished that. Now, the majority of people who play Hightower are just for a good time. Some of them just want to be friendly. Maybe they want to try a wacky loadout and just see what gets them results, and that's perfectly fine.
You call these the sillier and more enjoyable members of the community. These kind of people are not enjoyable. The kind of people you're talking about are the ones who want to kick people out of the lobby for actually playing the game. The kind of people who don't want to contribute anything to their team in helping them win the objective, and who complain and whine in the chat if somebody kills them and tell the other team to kill him because he's killing friendlies. People like this act entitled, as if they should be not only allowed to do a certain playstyle, but left alone to do it, when they're kind of sitting in the way of people who are actually playing the game seriously. And granted, if they were doing this in a server that was designed for this very thing, there would be no problem. What if they were doing it in a Hightower server where you couldn't actually push the cart? Or maybe in a trading server or something? Then I could see the appeal of being silly and goofing off and having fun. But in a casual game mode server that was designed for completing the objective, earning experience points to level up your casual badge, or maybe many other things, this kind of activity is really just not appropriate. And people who act like they are entitled to do this and then manipulate the vote kicking system to force others who don't want to fit in with their game style, that doesn't sound enjoyable, and it certainly doesn't sound friendly.
Some players are total pacifists, and some players are genuine fun ruiners, and are just in it for the kills to level up strangers, and that's also fair enough. I too will sometimes kill in Hightower.
You call people that are leveling up strangers fun killers. Do you not see how ridiculous this is? Fun is not a universal proposition, okay? Fun is subjective to whoever is having the experience and what they're enjoying. If somebody else is killing your fun by having fun themselves, that does not make them a fun killer, because they're having fun, maybe at your expense, but having fun all the same. Now, I might take issue with this if they were having fun in a way that went against what the game was designed for. But you realize what you're talking about here. You're talking about people killing others to level up strangers in a game that's designed around shooting people, killing people, and leveling up guns that were designed specifically to be leveled up. You're playing in a manner that's goofing around, being friendly, whatever, which is not really what the game is designed for. It can be used for that, sure, but it does so in a way that the game is not designed for. So you're not really playing the game the way it was designed, so these people are not fun killers. They're playing the game as it's meant to be played. And you assert there's nothing wrong with this here, but later, you seem to kind of change your tune a little bit.
Now this is to be expected, however, there is one unspecified rule. Do not cap. And why is that? I personally feel it's heavily frowned upon to cap because Hightower is more of an experience, like a social mingle or gathering. It sounds weird, but it kind of is, if you think about it. You're meeting other players, you're having a good time, you're taunting, and you're laughing, and you're having fun, in-game or not. And you kind of just want to do your own thing. When you decide to cap, you're kind of ruining that experience, and you're ending it rather abruptly. What if you were interacting with an enemy pyro regardless of their skill level? Having fun and making a relationship. I mean, sure, the relationship may or may not have gone past a random game of Hightower, but it's still cool to mingle with that pyro. Now, here comes along someone pushing the objective, and they got the cap in. Boom. That mingle is ruined. Even if you hate friendlies and you gun them down because you only see them as numbers to rank up a strange, you also have to hate capping because it does ruin that kill streak you were on. It slows down the slaughterfest you had going.
Mr. Fluffy, there's a very key point here, which is a flaw in your logic. Capping does not ruin any mingles. It doesn't ruin any leveling up of strange items, okay? The moment you cap on Hightower, the match goes to the map voting screen. People can vote to replay Hightower, and then the match begins anew. The people who were playing the objective earn their experience. They won the match. They might decide to go at it again. They might decide to leave. You don't really know. People who were playing and mingling, same with them. They might want to jump in and start mingling again. Person who's leveling up is strangest. Got a certain amount of numbers, he can go in again. They don't really care about kill streaks. They don't. Kill streak's done, fine. I'll go back at it again. I'll start a new kill streak. Okay, capping does not end anything except the match, and a new match is just going to begin again. Why do you want to go out of your way to harass people who are playing the game's objective just because you don't like the match ending when anything you're doing can be done again in the next match? Okay? That doesn't make any sense. And add on top of that you have servers, okay? Servers specifically made where the carts cannot actually be pushed, that you could mingle in for eternity or level up strangers for eternity to your heart's content. Yet you knowingly go to a casual match where you know the carts can be pushed and expect nobody to push them? That is what entitled means, okay? That is what self-centered means. You are trying to control others playing the game the way it was designed to be played, and then you want to stop them because in your mind it's interfering with your own side style of play.
When the game ends and you get a new one, say the enemy team has a direct hit soldier with godlike aim. If that person decides not to cap, you become the bottom of the food chain to them. Your rampage is put on a halt.
I have no idea what point you're trying to make with this analogy.
See, capping on Hightower is a lot like the unwritten but still heavily implied rule of the public's men's restroom. You don't piss in the urinal next to the guy pissing in it if you can leave a urinal space between each other. Just like that, you don't cap on Hightower unless the majority of the servers pushing the cart and both sides aren't kicking other people for trying to cap.
First off, unwritten rules like this do not exist. Okay, these are not rules, these are customs. There's a very special difference. Rules are made by somebody who has the authority to make them, and they are enforced by the people who has the authority to make them. Customs are just things of habit, things which are not done, maybe because it's not good etiquette. For example, the thing you're describing about men's restrooms is not a rule, and it's also silly. It should not make any difference where you stand or why you stand at a certain area. That's your own business, and you shouldn't be worried about what somebody else thinks about it. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any difference. The same thing applies to Hightower. Okay, there is no rule about not capping on Hightower. Valve didn't make such a rule. If anything, Valve has designed Hightower to be capped. You can obviously see this because there's an objective on Hightower, and there's contracts to be completed on Hightower by completing the objective. If Valve made a rule that said nobody can cap on Hightower, and here's why, then it would be a rule. But Valve has not made such a rule. what has happened is the community has decided that it's going to be customary to not cap on Hightower. The people who want this to actually be a rule have swarmed to that map, and then they kick out anybody, manipulating the vote kick system in a way that it is not designed to be used, and that is an act of griefing to discourage other people who don't want to follow this silly custom because it's silly. Add to that the fact that you're saying you're not allowed to cap unless we say you can. If the majority of the server is made up of people who are capping and playing the objective, and nobody is kicking out cappers, then you're allowed to cap. We have the final say over whether you can cap or not. It kind of depends what we feel like, maybe what our mood is on this particular day, maybe what the weather is, I don't really know. What you're saying is people who are actually not playing the game the way it's designed to be played get to write the rules for those who are trying to play it to design how it is. Do you have any idea how completely stupid this sounds? See, you don't own Hightower, okay? You don't have the right to kick other people out of a lobby because they're playing the game as playing the objective, playing the map, how it was designed to be played does not fit in with whatever you're wanting to do, okay? That's not how this works. You do not own that. You don't get to make those kind of decisions. If you do, you are griefing. You are misusing the vote kick system to kick people for doing nothing wrong. And that is against the game's terms and conditions, and you probably should be banned for it. Tell me something, Fluffy. When you open up the vote kick menu, do you see an option for capping? Do you see an option to kick a player for capping? Because I don't. I don't see that on my vote menu. So I'm going to assume that that's not a thing you should be kicking somebody for. You should be kicking somebody because they're either scamming, they're idle, or they're cheating. Now, unless this capper you're talking about is using an auto-aim assist tool to kill everybody in sight, you probably shouldn't be kicking him from this lobby. I'm just saying.
It's honestly one of the best maps, I think, for new players to learn how to play the game, because it's very forgiving up until the end where you need to put all of the skills that you've just learned to the test.
And he talks about Hightower as a good map to train beginners. Alright, I'll give him that. It's a lot friendlier to play Hightower to get your feet wet. Get the Gibbous and Mercenary badge.
No, that's where you're wrong. It would be friendly to learn the mechanics and stuff. It is a very forgiving map as far as map design is concerned. But see, Fluffy, it's not friendly to new players when more experienced players who've played the game for a while kick them out for actually trying to work with their team and cap the objective. Okay, then it's not friendly to new players. Then new players see the people who are playing and are like, dang, this game's got a toxic community. I think I'm going to go play something else. And right there, you lose a potential game player. Okay? That does not help the Team Fortress 2 community. That doesn't help the community of a game that's 11, almost 12 years old now, continue, grow, replace players who have quit, any of that. It just discourages new players from joining. That's very toxic behavior. That's very bad. That's destroying the community from the inside. You're basically rotting from inside out at that point.
However, that's all Hightower should be for. Training wheels. After that, you go and either play the other two payload race maps like Nightfall or Pipeline, or you hop into a good old payload map and get some nitty-gritty experience.
Why, though? Why should that be the only thing Hightower is for? Do you have a reason you're going to back this up with, or are you just going to state it? Oh, okay. Okay, then.
After skipping some pointless rambling about his past experiences, he then brings up his first line of attack, countering the argument of, well, if you just don't want to cap on Hightower, just go to a 24 community server then.
Well, I went back and watched the original video, and for anybody who wants to see it, I've linked it down in the description below. I've linked both of these videos. But he says it a little bit more eloquently than that. You kind of sound like a doofus when you say it. But that's a very good point. That is a good point. Why don't you go to a 24/7 community Hightower server? The ones where you actually can't push the cart. You can taunt and run around and level up strangers and stuff to your heart's content. No capping to have to worry about. Never have to worry about the experience ending. Just run around, have fun. When you want to get off, you can. You meet all the people you want to. All the people who are congregating and taunting and going friendly and crawling around the map with cardboard boxes over themselves. Sounds like a paradise for you. So what's your reasoning for not want to go there?
First of all, there's the classic argument of, oh, well, if you don't want to cap on Hightower, just go to a 24/7 community server.
Not only does he spin the question backwards, he also is kind of a hypocrite here. First off, the question is usually, want to go complete the objective, go to a 24/7 Hightower server.
No, the solution is if you don't want to complete the objective, you go to a 24/7 Hightower server. Like, have you ever been there? There's no capping at all. See, completing the objective there would not work.
He also lazily holds people who want to be friendly up to a higher standard. He says that you should go play on a community server. Do you kind of see the hypocrisy yet? He complains that people who complain about community Hightower servers and points out how many there are.
But that's not hypocrisy, though. Friendlies should be held to a higher standard because they're playing the game in a way that's not designed to be played, so they need special conditions for their playstyle, right? They need servers that are built specially for them. If you're going to have a higher playstyle in a way that's different than what the game is designed for, then yeah, you should be held to a higher standard. In the same way I shouldn't be using a butter knife to cut steak, friendlies shouldn't be playing casual matches and expecting stuff to work out well for them because that's not the optimal conditions for playing friendly in. Community servers with no capping and achievement servers and trading servers and stuff like that, those are designed perfectly for friendlies. Whereas casual servers with capping, with experience points, with badges and stuff to level up, that's more designed for players who want to take the game seriously. That's the sharp knife that cuts the steak, see. Also, you still haven't told us what's wrong about going to community servers. Ace is right, there are plenty of them available. I can go into TF2 right now and type 24/7 Hightower. Oh my goodness, that's a large list. And look at how many open player spots there are. A bunch of people could join in this if they wanted to.
Now, at about 5 minutes and 15 seconds in, this is where it starts to become heated, angry, and pissy. He starts to lose his cool and starts to show destructive behavior. He starts to complain about people who goof off in matchmaking for 4 hours at a time in Hightower, not capping the objective. Now, this paraphrase statement Ace made, this is where it starts to get into negative repercussions. Calls anyone who plays Hightower a person with no life, no friends, no job, who live in their parents' basement eating nothing but potato chips and drinking beer.
Okay, that's not what that word means. Destructive behavior is behavior that harms somebody who the behavior is directed at. Stereotyping somebody is not destructive behavior. It's not very nice. It's not very kind. People don't like being stereotyped in these negative ways, but it's not going to hurt them. It's not the same as throwing a rock at somebody's head. That's destructive behavior. Kicking somebody out of a lobby and making them lose all their XP, that's destructive behavior. Calling somebody a tryhard or a no-life potato chip basement dweller, that's not destructive behavior. That's just being rude to people.
Because apparently everyone who plays Hightower has no social life, no friends, and no job. They just live in their parents' basement eating nothing but potato chips and drinking beer. Most of which aren't even old enough to drink, mind you.
He also claims they're all under the legal drinking age.
What you're doing here, Mr. Fluffy, is grossly exaggerating what Ace is saying. He's using a stereotype to talk poorly about other people. Okay? He probably doesn't believe this whole statement himself. He's using it hyperbolically. Now, you may not word what hyperbolic means, so I'm going to explain it to you. A hyperbolic statement is one that's kind of an exaggerated claim. You know, speaking about things that aren't really so much like this, but which you're just kind of doing to sort of give an example, right? Saying I've got a bajillion experience points when you only have 200 is hyperbolic. Really, you only have 200, but it's so much that it seems like a bajillion. That's hyperbolic. And that's what Ace is doing here. What you're doing is exaggerating his claims to try and make him look bad. You're saying that he's saying, all of them are under the legal drinking age. All of them fit this stereotype. Now, Ace isn't saying that. He said, one, he used the word most, okay, to describe people. And second, he's not serious. He's just saying, apparently people are like this because they're doing this really stupid behavior. You're trying to make it look like the guy is angry or upset or that he just hates these people or whatever, or that he thinks all these awful things about him. He probably doesn't. Yeah, he's visibly frustrated at the toxicity of all these people playing Hightower, understandably so. But he's not making all these accusatory claims up and actually being serious about them. I don't know whether you seriously think he's doing this, or if you're just exaggerating it for the purposes of your video. But neither one of those is a good thing to do.
Now, why is this a bad thing exactly? Well, for one, he's appealing to emotional outrage over being allegedly kicked from Hightower a few times from people who don't agree with him.
You're doing that exact same thing. You're appealing to emotional outrage by exaggerating what Ace is saying here. And you stop using the word alleged. Okay, there's no alleged about it. Unless you have a very good reason of why you think that he is not telling the truth about being kicked for capping, then stop using the word alleged, okay? It's a common practice. It's done on most Hightower servers. There's no alleged about it.
He's also causing divide. He's calling a group of people who enjoy Team Fortress 2 in their own way as the wrong way, and insulting them. You gotta be pretty damn ballsy, Ace. Calling out a bunch of people who simply enjoy Team Fortress 2 over one way, just a bunch of nasty associations. Yeah, that'll get you more fans for that precious YouTube channel you have there.
Earlier, Mr. Fluffy, you said that Ace was being hypocritical. What you're saying right here is an extraordinarily hypocritical statement. You're saying that Ace is insulting people and saying that they're playing TF2 and enjoying it in the wrong way. Yet, you're doing this exact same thing in your video. It's exactly the same thing that you're doing. You're saying people who camp on Hightower are playing the game wrong and that they should be kicked for it. Okay? You're saying that he's bad and he's just so awful because he's saying that we're playing the game wrong and we're not enjoying it properly. This is what you're saying about him. You're saying that he is capping Hightower, he's not playing the map wrong because there's this unwritten rule that you can't cap on Hightower. You're doing the exact same hypocritical thing that you went after him for doing. Oh, and I'm just going to say it right now because it's true. You are enjoying the game wrong. Okay? You don't go into servers that were designed for capping and act like you can play the game this way if you want to. Because no, that is playing it wrong. Okay? Hightower is designed to be capped. You get experience points for capping. The carts are designed to move. You can complete contracts there after you finish a round. You're clearly enjoying it the wrong way. And the way you're enjoying Hightower, by goofing around with your buddies, okay, by congregating with the enemy team, throwing them sandwiches, that hurts your team. They're now one less player short when they're going up against the enemy team. They're now disadvantaged because you're goofing around. You're subtracting enjoyment from people who are actually playing the game objective, the way it was designed to be played. And yet you have the gall to act like they're the bad ones here. That's ridiculous. You should be ashamed of that.
However, I'm starting to get ahead of myself here a bit. He also uses a bunch of buzzwords and tries to appeal to emotion to silence opposition. If you disagree with him in any way, in his mind, and to the many young and gullible fans of his, you're not standing up for yourself. You're just confirming their bias in their eyes, making it worse for yourself.
Many young fans of his. Wait a minute. Mr. Fluffy, did you just use a stereotype against Ace's fans? Did you just say they were young and impressionable and gullible and they were going to support him and trying to silence the opposition? So let me get this straight. Ace is a bad dude for calling people who spend a lot of time in Hightower servers and don't want to finish the match these stereotypes of living in their mom's basement and drinking beer, these nasty stereotypes that you're so outraged by. And yet you're using stereotypes on his viewers, young and impressionable. You gotta have a pretty beeping large amount of courage to do that, Mr. Fluffy. A lot of courage, because that's a lot of people you're talking about there.
If you go down to the comment section of his video, you will see a bunch of people appearing to be yes men, all kind of blindly agreeing with him. Sure, you have people who are either neutral or opposite to Ace's view, but for the most part, you have a bunch of AcetheOcarinaMaker drones who will defend their idol with every keyboard key they can type.
Well, of course, they're stereotyped as yes men and blindly agreeing with him. Because, I mean, there's no way they could have valid reasons for agreeing with Ace about why he shouldn't be kicked for capping Hightower. No, there's blindly agreeing with him, Forgo they have any thoughts of themselves. They're too young and impressionable for that.
I feel that this is being done by Ace to fulfill two things in that he's feeling: a superiority and intellectual complex. He wants to seem smarter, wittier, and more clever than the average person. However, you kind of can't do that. What that reason is, I don't know. You can't use logic, facts, or at least a well-crafted opinion to either sway somebody or confirm something he believes in.
I've yet to have heard any of those things in this video. You talk about community 24/7 servers and why he's a hypocrite for suggesting people go there, yet fail to explain why. You throw out all these accusations. You talk about these unwritten rules, but don't even bother to explain why they exist or give any reason to why they should be actual rules. No logic or facts here. This is just your very hypocritical opinion, Mr. Fluffy.
So how does he get around this? He calls his opposition a bunch of degrading names and uses his fans to kind of do the dirty work for him. I don't see how being any of these insults also discredits them from their opinion of a game and how they enjoy it.
But watching Ace and agreeing with his points and being a mindless drone does discredit you. All right, then.
Now, a weak defense he uses for the people capping on Hightower is to just let them. And when they're done, they'll leave. So the friendlies and people who want to kick them will be satisfied.
Instead of having all the people on the server vote kick someone for just touching the fucking cart, let them cap. That way, the people who are in the match leave when the matchmaking round is over.
He's right. Some of them will leave. Not all of them, though. Some of them might stay around. Some more people might join. Friendlies and the no-cappers and stuff, they're never going to be satisfied as long as anybody's taking the game seriously or capping, because that goes against their playstyle.
However, there's a problem. What if that person who likes to cap stays? Or what if the game ends, and since half the server leaves the game anyway when a game ends and not stick around for a rematch, what if more people join who want to cap come in? Then they have more people ending the game for everybody. It's just something I had on my mind, and that's kind of a double-edged sword kind of situation he has there.
I don't think you know what double-edged sword means. That's not a double-edged sword. That's just how TF2 works. A game ends, people leave, new people join. Rinse and repeat. That's how it works. Of course, the games are going to be set up to be designed that way.
It's kind of like what he says and what I say sort of ordeal. Ace says that the people are there because Hightower was ticked as an option for that one person. And since they, quote-unquote, randomly joined into Hightower, it's just something you have to deal with.
These people are not joining just to ruin your day. They're joining because they were put there randomly, because Hightower was ticked as an option.
That's also a fairly valid point. Many people, often me included, will go in and select all the maps. Just like, oh, hey, I'm going to select all the maps because I don't care what I play today. I'll just let the TF coordinator put me in whatever map, is open to players. Could literally be anything. There's 72 maps in the game. We can play on whatever one we want, right? Maybe they be put in a Hightower. Maybe Egypt. Maybe Moss Rock. I don't know. Or, now here's a wild thought. What if they select Hightower because it's fun and they enjoy playing on it? Then there's that. They're not going there to ruin anybody's day. They're going there to have fun by playing the game and the objective.
However, a person has to willingly click the option of Hightower. In order to possibly get into it, it's not like the map selection is random. Each player picks the map they want to join into, and if they decide to go to Hightower, they should know that Hightower has a disproportionately large amount of friendlies and people who want to kill and not cap objectives. They need to accept that risk if maybe they'll get kicked.
So other people who are playing the game the way it's designed to be played should accept the risk that they'll be kicked for playing the game. So we should just bow down and do whatever you dictate to us next. Again, you're splitting sides here, Mr. Fluffy. You're trying to make it act like, oh, all these people who are, the non-cappers, the glorious friendlies, and fun havers and stuff. They're all pitted against these cappers and such. It shouldn't matter who's playing on Hightower. We should be able to jump into a Hightower game, play it, complete the objective, earn our XP, either leave, start another match, switch maps, whatever. Just like in every single other map. You don't own Hightower. You don't have a contract with Valve to make it a non-capping map, okay? To heck with what little rules the community comes up with. TF2's community is great, but video games are not democracy, okay? You don't get to decide arbitrarily that there's some rules for certain maps and then have a bunch of people congregate there to enforce them. And other people who want to play the map seriously, like all the other maps in the game, shouldn't just not because you're too entitled and self-centered to go to maps that were created for your very specific purpose, where campers are not interested in going because it literally cannot be capped. What do you want campers to do? There's nothing else for them. They have casual mode Hightower. They have contracts to do. Do you just not want them to play? Do you just not care about your fellow TF2 player that much?
When you attend something where a majority of people have a form of standards and rules, it's rude to violate them. And if you do violate those standards or rules, don't be surprised when repercussions come your way.
Rude, perhaps, but pretty acceptable if those rules aren't very practical. If you were to go to Walmart and you were to go into the bathroom and you start using the bathroom there, and somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, hey, you can't use the bathroom here. That's not what these are for." And you're like, "Well, why would you have a bathroom then?" They say, "Oh, well, this is just, it's built in here because it's in every other Walmart, but in this particular Walmart, you're not supposed to use the bathroom. You have to stop or we'll throw you out of here." And this is obviously very silly. Somebody talking about this in real life would be ridiculous. Yet you're talking about the same thing existing in a video game world. This is not, prehistoric times when we all live in caves and beat one another to death for lion steak. Okay, might doesn't make right. Democracy doesn't rule all. People don't have the right to create these random arbitrary rules when things have been put into place for a very specific person. In the same way that it's idiotic to make a rule to not use a bathroom for the bathroom's purpose, it's idiotic to make a rule that you should not cap on a map that was designed for capping, regardless of how many people think that should be a rule or not.
Now, am I thinking too deeply about a video game and a guy on the internet complaining about being kicked from a video game? Probably. But at least I'm trying my best to be reasonable and persuasive, unlike Ace, who wants to just spew insults and shame people.
You have literally not said one persuasive or reasonable thing this entire video. Not one time. And yet you're criticizing Ace for doing the exact same thing you're doing in your own video.
However, I do believe I figured out why he's doing this odd, ballsy video, but I'll explain myself more in a bit. I may seem like a hypocrite because I will use insults.
Well, you haven't let it stop you this far. Might as well not start now.
Also, in the video with him more directly, but I feel I am justified to say it because I'm making, hopefully, very fair critiques and well-backed up statements. However, that is up for everyone to decide. He then tries to rehammer the "go to a community server then" idea.
If you want to complain that there's no good community servers, even though I highly doubt that out of 220 servers I was able to find.
He still says there's good ones, so why don't you go, Ace? Why are you trying to make a large populace conform to you?
Oh my gosh. Are you really trying to make this point right now? Ace brings up the fact that there are a lot of servers designed for not capping that people should go to when they don't want to cap, and you're telling him he, as a capper, should go there. The reason he's trying to make people conform to this standard is because this is the kind of standard that's designed for those people. They shouldn't be in a casual server that's designed for capping, not working to cap, and going after those who are capping when they could be in a server that is designed to not cap and to goof around. It's set up right there, just for what you want, guys. Go have at it. But no, the people don't want to do that. They want to go to casual Hightower, goof around, and then complain when other people actually try and complete the objective, and then use immature, barbaric tactics to try and get those people out of there. I think I'm going to say that allegedly, these people don't really want what they say, they just want to be in control.
Now, about 7 minutes and 29 seconds in, we do start to see the true colors start to shine. He starts complaining about his job as a YouTuber, how he had this really great idea for a video and competitive Hightower play. However, due to the people kicking him, those gosh darn neckbeard underage beer drinkers, he had to scrap his idea.
Every single Hightower match I got kicked from for just touching the cart, I'm sorry, but I had to scrap this entire video that was going to be 22 minutes long. I had to scrap the entire video because I was just unable to get footage of Hightower.
Now, here's where things get really bad. He blatantly calls people who vote kick people off a Hightower, the trash of TF2. He says that they're the people killing the game.
You are the trash of Team Fortress 2 society. You are dragging this game down into a state that is more toxic than the Five Nights at Freddy's and Undertale communities combined, and I don't say that lightly.
Mr. Fluffy, I'm going to make a very controversial statement here that you're probably not going to like to hear. These people are the trash of TF2. They're misusing the vote-kicking system for griefing. They're discouraging new players from playing the game. They're going after people who the game was designed for to try and force them to not play the game the way it was designed just so they can fit their own special interests when they could go to these other servers that were designed for them. But no, they want to have their cake and eat it too. Okay? I can't think of anything more trashy than that. Except for maybe cheaters who use aimbot cheats. That's pretty bad too.
They're the reason why everything sucks. Why do keys cost so much for fine metal? Why is matchmaking still faulty after 8 months? Why is competitive dead? Why do LMAO box and other genuine game-breaking programs get downloaded and used by people who just want to upset people? Every little problem TF2 has is at the fault of some guy who wanted to kick somebody capping on Hightower.
You're strawmanning, Mr. Fluffy. That's not what he's saying, see? You're subverting the entire argument. Instead of confronting this legitimate issue that he's bringing up, you're trying to bring up all these other issues that are in the game to try and make his point look weak. One issue does not make another issue less important or not an issue in its own right. All issues have their own value that is not increased or lowered by other issues being brought up. And you know something interesting? Every issue you just listed is an issue directly created by Valve. Refined metal being devalued, that's because Valve's crafting system was designed with a flaw in it. Competitive mode not being active, that's because Valve has not worked on it well. They've made a bad in-game competitive mode. They don't sponsor third-party competitive tournaments. Okay, that's a Valve-created issue. The whole Hightower dilemma, that's a community-created issue. Okay? It's not the same thing. One is the fault of the game developer. The other is the fault of the community who has decided they're going to go against the design of the game to bring about their own purposes and special interests.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not defending these guys. They can be pretty scummy at times, and I do not condone whatever they do.
Aw, you stinking piece of crap. That's exactly what you're doing. That's what this whole 16-minute, 30-second video is. It's just you defending people who are kicking others out of Hightower. Your whole video is just defending this special protected interest group and trying to say how they're right by creating these straw man arguments, hypocritically insulting Ace and all the people who agree with him and who think that capping on Hightower should be allowed. That's all your video is. The whole thing. Let's not try and pretend it's otherwise. If you're going to make this kind of a video, Mr. Fluffy, own up to it.
However, with the bold statements and insults Ace is spewing out, he's making them seem like Joseph Stalin is burning food to starve his people.
Another straw man.
He's being rather harsh and bold on a whimsy claim, and I know why, but the final breakdown of Ace's behaviors, why is he acting like this? Ace is fighting other YouTubers for viewership. Now, does he know this consciously? No, most likely subconsciously, but he does know that TF2 is kind of a niche market for YouTube gaming videos. Team Fortress 2 is an almost 10-year-old game. Only a select few people have even semi-mainstream success in making TF2 videos. He knows that some of his videos are good, and others are just fucking duds. So what is he doing now? Stirring up controversy and discussion. He's using swear words, buzzwords, and insults over a minor problem in the game only a few of us can even relate to, but he's blowing it out of the water, like a nuclear warhead exploding underwater. He's trying to make it seem like what he's doing is a noble thing. It's a thing that has to be done. But if you think about what he's saying, it's nothing but blatant greed. You can tell that by his attitude and his anger towards some of his quotes like this. It's how I make a living! It's how I support my channel! It's how I support you, subscribers!
It's how I support my channel, it's how I support you subscribers, and it's how I support the people I care about.
It's how I support you subscribers.
I'd like to point out that last part of his statement. You subscribers. Here's what's so wrong with that. Ace doesn't give a shit about you. Yes, you, the person listening to me now. You can tell because of the tone of his voice. He's greatly concerned that people won't watch his videos. So rather than putting in the extra mile in his videos to stand out from the crowd, he decides to be a damn crybaby, complaining about a problem in a video game, causing controversy and divide between an already hurting community. He's trying to divide the community to gain a few extra views on his videos.
The point of this incredibly long rant is that you're, again, trying to make Ace look weak or that he has a faulty argument. You're trying to say that this whole thing behind this issue is that he's trying to stir up controversy for the benefit of his own channel. Now, I know, Mr. Fluffy, that your channel is more like a hobby, right? You don't really actively work at it hard to try and make it into something big. You just kind of do it on the side for a hobby, okay? And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. In and of its own right, perfectly fine. But you don't get to just sit there and say that Ace is doing something because his channel isn't going as well as he wants it to. Ace and you are not the same kind of channel, Mr. Fluffy. He makes videos regularly and earns his living from YouTube. If he's having an issue, he certainly has the right to complain about it, okay? You cannot go to Ace and say, well, crap, I bumped the mic. You cannot go talking about Ace and saying, well, he's doing all these big things just because he's a big YouTuber and he needs views and the best way to get them is to stir up controversy. You don't know what it's like to try and work full-time at a YouTube channel and try and make something big of it, Mr. Fluffy, okay? Don't make criticisms about these kind of things till you've walked a mile in these people's shoes, as the expression goes. And there's nothing wrong necessarily with making certain criticisms, and maybe as a small part-time channel, you have the unique viewpoint that only that kind of a person in that kind of position could bring to the table. But you're stating this as if it's fact, as if it's just commonplace knowledge, okay? When it's not so. This is just your take on something that you most likely don't have knowledge or experience enough of to actually know what you're talking about. If you just maybe suggested this as a possibility and actually had some reasons to back this up, instead of just making this totally biased false claim to defend your own position, it might have some weight to it. But it doesn't, because that's exactly the opposite of what you're really doing. Ace isn't causing controversy and divide in a hurting community. Okay, this is what he's talking about is the already existing controversy and divide. He's not creating something any new, he's just pointing out what's already there. He's talking about how this controversy affected him and his ability to make videos. And you have some pretty big gall to say that Ace does not care about his subscribers. Especially when you have no evidence of this. It's a pretty low blow when you say that about a YouTuber who's working really hard and is making videos full time. As somebody who's actually done that before and has tried to build something big out of that, I know what that's like. I know what the struggle is, how much work and time you have to do, how much you have to give up and sacrifice to make videos for your viewers and for your subscribers. If he doesn't care about his viewers and subscribers and he only cares about the money, then he would probably be doing something besides YouTube. Now, you might realize that if you had actually done what Ace is doing before, but you haven't. Instead, you just make videos in your free time, calling a full-time YouTuber, these awful names, accusing him of all these crappy things and saying he doesn't care about his subscribers. You should be ashamed of yourself. There's no excuse for this type of behavior, especially when you have nothing in the way of real evidence. It's just all your opinion, all your little fabrication of whatever stupid theories your brain just decides to randomly come up with. I don't regularly watch Ace. I've seen some of his stuff. Is he perfect? No. Does he make quality videos? I would say for the most part, probably yes. And he's got a lot of people watching him, which is more than I could say for some people. He obviously puts out a lot of videos and works pretty hard on them. But instead, you want to take the little bit of spare time you have in your life to make these crappy videos for this crappy part-time channel and come up with all these crappy theories for why Ace is just this awful person who wants to divide the TF2 community for money and who doesn't care about his subscribers. Absolutely pathetic.
And I get it. I understand you want to defend your job, your source of income. You want to protect it. However, if you were an adult Ace, You'd be smart and do the economic thing. Put extra effort, timing, and creativity into your videos. Hell, you said that you dread making TF2 videos.
Dread turning on Team Fortress 2. I dread having to make videos on this.
Why not branch out? Or at the very least, try.
You say as a part-time YouTuber who is not currently doing this with his own videos, who is probably financially fairly comfortable right now. Remember, Ace is supposed to be the adult about this.
To be fair, I wrote this script a couple days ago and I only started editing a few days later, so he has uploaded a couple videos not related to TF2, I'll give him that. See if that works or doesn't. But no, you want to play it safe, making TF2 videos, and if one thing doesn't go your way in a video game, you decide to make videos like this. If you can't keep up with what the viewers want, then get out of the way. Somebody else will do it, and odds are they'll do it in a much better fashion than you can.
You're suggesting as somebody who hasn't been in this situation before and does not have this experience. Remember, Ace is supposed to be the adult about this.
Demonizing people who play on a map called Hightower and getting upset over some people kicking players for playing the objective when it's already kind of rude to do so in the first place. Like the unwritten rules I mentioned a little while ago. That's how you beat up the competition. You make your product, and in this case a YouTube video, the best one to watch. But no, Ace, go ahead and use your fans, the few TF2 players left, and others as your pawns to squeeze out extra advertisement dollars.
Right. It's rude to kick people out of a server. Let's go back to this. It's rude to kick people out of a server that was designed to be played, the objective on, and to cap. It's rude to play that objective and cap it, but it's perfectly fine to kick people out of the server. It's perfectly fine to make videos in your spare time insulting full-time YouTubers because they were playing the objective and didn't like when they got kicked. Remember, Ace is supposed to be the adult about this.
You claim you're this great defender of Team Fortress 2, and how you're ending this apparent evil and corruption in the Team Fortress 2 community.
I went back and watched Ace's video. He never claimed any of this.
But in reality, you're the one causing evil and corruption. You are a massive hypocrite, you are a deceiving bastard, and you should be fucking ashamed of yourself.
Remember, Ace is supposed to be the adult about this.
Painting yourself as some white knight of TF2, only to stab people in the back. Now, are you intentionally doing this? I don't think so, but still, your behavior is very dangerous. You will always run into assholes in life, Ace, even in TF2.
And the solution to that is to let them walk all over you with their unspecified rules.
I know, it's surprising. Not everyone will agree with you. Hell, I've been kicked from matches in Team Fortress 2 for some pretty fucking dumb reasons.
I've played in matches with you, Mr. Fluffy. You're usually pretty well behaved, but I've seen you call people the N-word in chat before. Maybe that's a dumb reason in your book. I don't know.
And probably from every map too. However, you don't just stomp your feet on the ground and cause a big stink, Ace. You learn how to deal with these people by just ignoring them or not giving them the satisfaction.
That's pretty strange advice considering you're taking several hours of it of your own spare time to make this video about Ace. Just a thought.
The world will not bend to you, Ace. You have to bend for it.
Because the majority is always right and should always make the rules no matter what. Never mind practicality or what things are designed for or whether behavior is good or bad. No. You should just do whatever other people think or get out of the way. That's all there is to it.
After watching you ramble on for a bit more, you mentioned how you may have to find alternative ways to make money. Well, why don't you go and sell your stupid flutes? I can understand that you started this business before YouTube, and your website shows you playing what appears to be a Renaissance fair. If you can name your YouTube channel after that, an AcetheOcarinaMaker, why don't you go and sell your fruity flutes? You'd probably be happier doing that, judging by your extreme overreaction about getting kicked on Hightower.
Taunting somebody's livelihood and his flute-making abilities. Remember, people, Ace is supposed to be the adult about this.
You call people who kick players on Hightower people who value nothing to society. However, being a flute boy is pretty low on the contributing to a society aspect.
Well, using your spare time to make videos criticizing other people for playing a game the way it was designed to be played doesn't seem like it's contributing much to society either. But you made that choice.
I'd be very careful if I were you. It's never a good idea to throw rocks from a glass house. Anyway, that sums up my thoughts and opinions on a rather bad video.
And this sums up my opinions and thoughts on a rather bad video.
Let me know what you thought, and let me know how you feel on this issue. Maybe this video did get a few rounds, and it got to reach a few people. Maybe it changed your perspective. Let me know your thoughts about what I said, what Ace said, or your view on capping in Hightower is. Hell, leave a comment on anything you want. Take care.
Well, Mr. Fluffy, you have them. These were all my thoughts and ideas and opinions on your video and all the subject matter it contained. So there you go. At any rate, guys, for those of you who are still watching, this was his video on the capping on Hightower. I've talked about this issue so many times in the past. Really, at the end of the day, the no capping on Hightower thing is extremely stupid. There's no logic that goes into their thoughts and reasoning. People who think exactly like the fellow in this video never actually have any real reasons for why they think this other than it's what the majority say and we should strong arm it to force other people to do what we want without really thinking about, practicality, design, or anything really logical to begin with. Mostly, a lot of this video was just an attack on Ace, which is a shame. I have seen Ace's stuff. I've watched him a little bit before. I don't really watch him regularly just because he's not really my type of YouTuber, but, he seems like he's made some decent stuff. I like some of those loadout videos he did a couple of years ago. At any rate, thank you all very much for watching my video. I appreciate it. Please leave me a comment letting me know what you think about all this. I would love to hear your input as well. I know this type of content is not the same usual cheery, happy stuff that I normally make. And I'm not going to make this kind of stuff normally. I'm not turning into a commentary channel or anything. I just wanted to make this video for a long time because I felt that there was a lot of stuff here that needed to be addressed that nobody else has really addressed much in the TF2 community that I've seen thus far. So I wanted to be that one voice. So to defend the almighty TF2. So there you go. So yeah, thank you all again for watching. I do appreciate it. Be sure and be on the lookout for a new Reddit video coming soon. Mr. Fluffy doesn't seem to like Reddit videos very much, as I can tell by this other video he made. But yeah, another one of those is going to be coming out soon. That'll be awesome as well. So thank you all again for watching. Until next time, I am your host, Cascarte Diutica. This has been a video about Hightower camping. And until next time, I will see you all at the top.
Aside from my soul.